morning, guys. This is Dr. Rob, the Addiction Doctor, along with Jennifer Lovely. This is the Recovery Channel podcast. Welcome live on Facebook and YouTube. It's 1:11:21 today, and it's snowing in San Antonio. Good morning.
That is amazing. It's snowing.
Hey, listen, you could actually hear kids. We've only two neighbors that have got kids. They were screaming yesterday. Apparently, it's not snowing in San Antonio since Fred Flintstone was changing a tire on his car.
Wow, that's a long time.
That's a long time, I'm telling you. Goodness me. So what have you been up to all week?
Let's see, I hiked. I've been doing hot yoga almost at least 3 times a week, and that's been pretty badass. Getting all the yuckies out of my system.
Yeah.
And just enjoying some beautiful weather and hiking. And life is good, man. I'm enjoying this. That realization that I don't actually have to spend so much time where the clouds are super low and it rains all the time. It like completely changes your mental health. Completely.
Yeah. And light deprivation is something I suffer from. But so when I'm living in Manchester, here's a fine example of that. So I'm living in Manchester. We have offices over there. And when everybody gets in the elevator or the lift, if you're from England, in the morning going to work, 8 o'clock, it's mostly overcast and raining. Everyone's don't speak to each other. Like they're all looking in different directions. You can hear a pin drop on, just like English are. And but when it's sunny, everyone gets in the elevator and like, oh my, good morning, and everyone's in a great mood. So
yes,
I was there and realized that it's the sun I need.
Sun I need for sure. I grew up in the sun, Southern California, Arizona. I lived in Lake Havasu City, Arizona. That's where the London Bridge is now. Did you know that?
I did not know.
Yeah. So we had the London Bridge. So you didn't know we had things in common, did you, Dr. Rob?
I did not know. That's amazing. You're falling down. Falling down.
And it did. And the guys, Mr. McCullough, took it back to Lake Havasu.
Oh God, that's freaking awesome! Is it actually there? Is it actually a piece?
Yeah.
See that? I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Wow,
yeah.
crazy!
I used to jump off it my crazy teen years.
I thought about that a few times when I was in London. When it was still in London, I thought of jumping off it a few times, but it was like God had a different plan for me.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, here we are today on this great Monday morning, guys. I know you're asking yourselves, who's on the show today? And let me tell you, Andy Grant's on the show. Such an amazing guy. Real Men Feel. Wait till you listen to this guy. He's awesome. He's straight to the point. And it's all about, mostly about guys revealing who they are, what they need to be, and the feelings and, deep down stuff that we never really share with anybody. And I know when he was on his show, it was a great just an unbelievable experience.
Really? I love talking about that. I cannot wait to talk to him about that. I have a lot to say about real men that feel, because the woman on the other end that struggles with being loved and allowing a man to fully love me and allowing them to feel and step into their feelings I think is a really deep conversation. So I'm excited to talk to him about that.
That's what I like about Recover Me coaching is the fact that most men, and I'm speaking only about the people I know, guys, I'm not judging men, don't show the feelings. They keep it to themselves. And in fact, it's a little bit of a question for you, Jen. How can you truly love somebody if you're stuck in that mentality?
Yeah, right? You
just
can't.
And sex, that's all it is. Together. I know I had that deep feeling, and when I met you, you told me to express myself more, and I did, and more people opened up to me. It was phenomenal. It was right there and then when I'm thinking to myself, holy shit, I need to work with this girl, because that's the stuff you're good at, getting into the women and the men to go, hey, what about this? It's unbelievable.
I know, it's good stuff, and it I think it frees us from a cage.
Oh, cool. Yeah, definitely frees us. And I mean, I'm a big guy. I'm an aggressive guy. I don't take any shit off anybody. And to be in that place, it's like having a new pair of sneakers at school. It's like, yeah, I'm wearing them. Yeah, I'm like this. What about it? Do you want to join me? Oh, well, if Dr. Rob's doing it, well, I might as well do it. And we've got this group that you've been to, on the 12-step group. And they're all, they come out and go, hey, do you know what, Rob, I was crying the other day for no reason. I'm like, cool. Let's talk about that. So we create this environment where guys can just show, and women, and just talk about how they feel. Because if we don't get this out, we stuff it down. And just like a zip file, someone's going to click on it one day, and we're not going to be able to handle everything at once.
Yes, I agree.
Good stuff. Andy Grant is on the show, guys. Andy Grant, stick around. We're back just after this. Welcome back, guys. This is Recovery Channel Podcast. My name is Dr. Rob Kelly, the Addiction Doctor. Along with Jennifer, this is Recovery Channel Podcast, and Andy Grant. Good morning, Andy. How are you doing?
Very good, very good. Very excited to be here. It's a great start to the week.
Yes, It is. Monday morning on Recovery Channel Podcast, the best thing that can happen to a human being apart from toast.
So, Andy, let's go. Let's go into this. I love talking about this deeper stuff. So, during my coaching program, I was with about 4 men that were part of a men's group, John Wineland. I'm sure you've heard the name. And the thing about it, I spent a year with them and allowed them to love me in a way that I had never truly been loved from men, and even just the platonic way. I could cry still thinking about it. They changed my life, and they changed how I related to not only myself, but to men. Because I will tell you, there was a period of time that I thought men were another species. That's what I referred to them as, because I had so much pain around men. And here I did, as I raised 2 boys, So talk to me about what it is to not be able to feel as a man in our society, and then talk to me about what it is to feel.
So every man does feel.
Yes.
It's just that they don't express it. They don't acknowledge it. I say all the time that silence kills men. Mm-hmm. And they're silent to themselves. They're silent to others. You had that beautiful, blessed opportunity to meet 4 genuine, authentic men that could share all of themselves and really impact your life in a positive way. So there's nothing wrong with masculinity. There's things wrong with distorted, extreme versions of masculinity. Being a man, too many people have been taught that there are some emotions are for men and some are for women. Men are human beings. We are entitled, allowed, and encouraged, and in fact, we need to express and feel all of our emotions. That's what makes you real in the sense of being genuine, authentic, right? A man can't be all he wants to be if he thinks some part of him isn't manly. I always tell guys that the only definition of masculinity that matters is yours. Mm-hmm. If you're living by somebody's rules of masculinity and you look at them and they're miserable bastards, well, why do you want to live? Why do you want to follow that path? Right? Feeling. Your heart is your guide. We all have, I talk about emotions as our natural GPS system. Mm-hmm. But if guys aren't willing to feel it, they lose out on their intuition, their direction, their meaning, their purpose. Men hurt themselves by thinking emotions are bad.
Mm-hmm. All the time. My dad was like that. My dad's generation was like that. And suppose my generation is, my life was literally mapped out. I was supposed to leave school, not go to college, and work at the gas board like my dad. There was nothing wrong with that. My dad was awesome. Have children, go to the pub every Friday, Saturday night, and be a man's man. And that was it. And you either fight or you were gay. Where I come from. And when I finally got around, because it was really hard for me, Andy, to sit down with somebody and start discussing my feelings. I mean, oh my goodness, are you kidding me? So explain to me, when somebody comes to you and you know what they want, but they don't, as in pouring their heart out and getting in touch with the real man inside them. How do you start? How do you slowly bring them into your way of life?
Well, it's really giving a place where I just listen. Without judgment, and I do get guys to share, and so many people tell me I've told you things I never told anybody, and it's like their first meeting with me, and it's just making that space non-judgmental. So many guys live in fear, and they don't acknowledge it, they don't see it, but guys are terrorized by the thought of being judged, of being ostracized, of being called gay, being bullied, being picked on. No matter how tough they are, it's all this mask to this inner pain. And if there's a place where you can open up about that pain a little bit, admit it, drop the mask that you've got it all figured out, that you're a man, and everything's fine, and you're stoic, and you don't need anybody's help, all of that's all lies that literally destroy lives.
So, so as a woman, one of our deep, I think, wounded place is that we're not going to be good enough, that we're not skating enough, we're not pretty enough, we don't wear the best clothes, our boobs aren't big enough, all of the things that the outside, and we won't get the guy, and then we have to compete for the guy because that's what society has told us. So talk to me about what men deeply are afraid of.
Again, it's judgment, it's rejection. So many guys are afraid to talk to the beautiful woman for the fear of them saying no, and everybody's seeing and the whole place laughing at them, right? Every guy lives in abject terror of being judged by someone, because that's what society has told us, right? The silent group of men shall pass judgment on you are successful or not, right? You did not get the good girl. Her boobs are not big enough. Your penis is not big enough, right? Men are as full of not enoughness as women are, but they hide it. They lie about it. It comes out in destructive behavior. It comes out in addictive behavior. If we were taught to feel from a young age, life would be just so much easier.
Right.
Women are more likely to bond and connect and have friendships and talk about it. Men are more likely to shut up. Men face challenges and they pick up a bottle. They put on the TV. They look for someone to have sex with without any emotional attachment. Right? They look to detach and be out of their bodies. And the healing comes from being more in your body, feeling what's going on. That the only way to get through any feeling is to feel it. You can't think your way through emotions. You can think about them, you can ruminate, and it just makes things even worse.
Yeah.
So do you think that men are scared of rejection all of the time?
Yeah, I think that's a driving force.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's being picked last in a gym class when you're in like elementary school. It's not being picked for the job. It's not being picked for the date. It's not being swiped on Tinder. Like, it just goes on. And it all comes from, you mentioned earlier about you can't love someone else if you don't feel. You can't love someone else if you don't love yourself first.
That was me, Andy. That was me being last picked at school. That was me being last picked at the football team. And I know for a fact that when I started working on me, I had this enormous confidence come over me. But the crazy thing was, and this is what me and Jennifer teach a lot, is I started seeing me as other people saw me. And I was freaking awesome. And there's no need to be afraid. And like the other way around, people were afraid of me. I used to go to my friends or even Janet go, how come such and such somebody doesn't even talk to me when we go to this? I said, you're intimidating now. You know your own power. And it's not cockiness, Andy. It's confidence. There's a fine line there. But it is confidence over the years that when I used to walk into a room and go, I wonder if they'll like me. Now I walk into a room and go, do I like them? That's how much confidence I have. But it's only through working on me. You can't, I don't think you can do this by reading a book.
No, and if you think a book did it, that's the fake confidence. That's the false bravado. But it's natural when it's you. When you can own all aspects of yourself, you are a powerful being.
Yeah. So talk to me about what that was like for you, Andy, in school, or as a young person, as a young lady. How did you heal that young Andy?
So I didn't know this term until I was an adult, but I was a very empathic kid. I would be overcome with emotions. I could be overcome with tears. I remember being on the third grade school bus, and the bus went to a different parking lot to enter a different door of the school, and I started bawling. And my hair, I'm not upset. Why am I crying? And later I realized I was picking up all the fear, all the anxiety of other people, and it came out through me. So I was a nice kid. I was sensitive. I was emotional. These are all things I thought made me broken and wrong. I was suicidal from a very young age because of how much I felt. I started drinking. My first drink was around age 10. Pre-teen, I would intentionally get drunk so I could cry, so I could get the pain out of me. So my experience was horrible, but I didn't share with anybody. I felt things, I kept them to myself, I judged them because that's what society says, that's what men do, and I had a miserable experience.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. Andy Grant is on the show, guys. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsor. Welcome back to the show, guys. That was Life Over Addiction. If you're listening on podcast and not watching live, there's Lance Wright is a transformational life coach. Let me help you navigate your life's path back to one of purpose and meaning. He says the chains of shame and guilt no longer have to hold you back. Let's start a new conversation, he says. lifeoveraddiction.com, or you can email info@lifeoveraddiction.com. Why not give Lance a call? 310-890-2337. That's Lance Wright, such a great guy. Okay, so Andy Grant is on the show. Let's talk about when you get somebody in a room and you find that break. You know, everyone knows what we're talking about on the screen. You get that, you bang, you see something come on, and all of a sudden you've got the client, you've got the patient, and going, wow, I've got him. Tell us what that feeling is like.
Oh, it feels like the purpose of life. That's what lights me up. And this is something I didn't realize growing up either. Like how good and alive I can feel, and anyone can feel, by being of service. Like I'm sure you realize this in your path. Like all the pain I went through was so I could help people going through that similar pain easier, better navigate the pains, the struggles, the depressive thoughts, the suicidal thoughts. So anytime I can help another human being realize that they are entitled to joy and have the ability to live a joyous life, like I used to think life sucks, then you die. Now I realize life is magnificent and it's meant to be joyous. It really is.
Yeah, it is meant to be joyous. I as a woman, I know that feeling as well. Walking around trying to find your purpose is painful. And the thing is that our purpose is really for us to find the joy in our life. Really, it has nothing to do with other people's life. It's when we find the joy, we can support and be in service of other people. So talk to me a little bit more about so you grew up. Now, was it you that tried to commit suicide? Is that correct?
Yeah, I've made multiple attempts to end my life.
Yeah. And so now you have a book and it's called Life After Remind. I'm not seeing it on the screen, so I apologize.
It's called Still Here, How to Succeed in Life After Failing at Suicide.
Okay, so can you talk to me about that? Because I love the title of that book.
Yeah. So the book is everything I wish I knew when I was 17 and 18 years old. So it opens up, I confess the pains, the struggles I was having, but more than that, it's a prescriptive book. It's full of techniques. It's full of things I ridiculed and made fun of for years, and then I finally tried, and they actually worked for me. Mm-hmm. Things like affirmations, things like mirror work, meditation, gratitude journaling. I mean, therapists told me to journal for probably 6 years before I started, because I thought, like, oh, that's what little girls do. I don't have a My Little Pony princess glittery diary. That just sounds ridiculous. I'm not going to do it. And when I'm depressed and suicidal, somebody's like, oh, you got to be grateful. I'm like, I'm not grateful for anything. How can I start with that? But, I finally did, and it all brought benefit. It all brought joy. Mm-hmm. And where I really ended up, and the kind of work I do with people, I discovered energy work and the power of meditation and getting still and realizing that my emotional and mental experience is influenced by other people. That energy is contagious. Misery is contagious and joy is contagious. So when I realized, I'm really feeling down today, like, is this even mine? Like, did I pick this up from somebody else? Am I feeling somebody else's concerns or worries or depression? And realizing the separation and how to clear that out of my own space.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
See, the book is all about skills that everyone has but doesn't realize. So it's reminders, it's encouragement to try things. I saw countless therapists, hospitalized. I was hospitalized in 5 different mental hospitals, different pills, different diagnosis every time. Nothing brought me relief. So it just kept making me feel more broken, more hopeless, more helpless. But the thing is, you got to keep looking. Like, there is something that helps all of us. I totally believe that. And this book is everything that helped me in the hopes that it will help you. Yeah.
Dr. Rob, really quick, I just want to ask, what is the suffering? Like, there is resistance. Like, there's something, really powerful about suffering. If we can, and resistance, if we can allow whatever is wants to bubble up, wants to come out. So what was your resistance to the journaling and all of that really wanted to bubble up and be expressed?
That I wasn't worth it. I did not believe I was worth saving. Again, I thought I was so broken and flawed, I didn't want help. Help was offered to me time and time again. I would lie. I was good in school. I could tell a guidance counselor what they wanted to hear. They would see cut marks on my wrist. No, it was a suicide attempt. And I would tell them, oh, I just making a sandwich slipped. Oh, well, he's good in school. Then he must not be lying about this. people don't want to believe that you're in pain. So they'll buy your lies for a long time, right? It was only after, again, it took me multiple failed suicide attempts before I finally realized maybe there's a better way to live my life. I realize I'm not good at living. I'm not good at dying either. There's got to be something else. So that's what made I finally opened up my possibilities and took new actions. And I don't recommend that path to anyone. Nobody should have to try to end their life to realize they're meant to be alive. But that's what it took for me, multiple times, unfortunately. But we're all meant to be alive.
Yeah, definitely. And the other thing I think we get stuck in with just other people out there, the population that I'm surrounded with. My biggest saying is, show me your friends, I'll show you your future. Is people out there like, well, this is the way life is. Life sucks and you get your glimpses of happiness. I'm like, who's making these rules up?
Yeah.
I don't like these rules. I'm on a 10 every day. Oh, that's impossible. Really? You want to come over and try it yourself? You're only saying it's impossible because you don't know who you are. You're walking through life and you listen to other people. When I started doing what I want to do, I always say, I don't answer to nobody. I don't give a shit. I do what I do because I know I do it well. When you start doing that and know your self-worth, life takes on a new meaning. And of course you can be a 10 every day. Of course you can. I don't have bad days, and I'm going to tell you I don't. I have bad days in others, but I don't have. How can I have a bad day?
Yeah.
I was saved so many times with suicide and homelessness and stabbings and shoots and all that. How can I have a bad day? But until you get in that frame of mind, you're going to be stuck under that cloud, because that's what people say. They say it in 12-step meetings that I go to. Oh, Rob, you're on a pink cloud. Don't worry, you're going to come off it. Listen, guys, I've been on a pink cloud for 33 years. What's your excuse?
Yeah.
You can be up there and you can keep. My job today is to bear witness to the still suffering people out there. And you shouldn't even have to know how long I've been sober or clean or anything like that. You should be able to tell by the way I speak, by the way my eyes are, and by the way my actions are. And that's the bottom line. I just think more men and women should learn to live like this, Andy.
Yep, and they can. I mean, that's the beauty. You're not talking about something that's unattainable, right? I since COVID started, I've been facilitating men's groups online. And it's been so neat to see guys come together who don't know each other from all around the world and start to open up and share. And the thing that I love, the competitiveness of men can kick in and be beneficial, because one guy really shares deep and has tears in his eyes. Then the next man's like, whoa, I got to top that. I've got to meet that, right? So it can help us too. So all these competitive guys don't know each other and they try to outfeel each other and they try to outshare each other. So it's really this beautiful way to see, again, healthy masculinity expressed. But my worst days now were days I could not dream of as a kid. I used to think when I was depressed and suicidal, I thought happy people were just flat up here like Ned Flanders. They were just always happy and it was all fake and bullshit. But, the ideal life is like the stock market. Higher highs and higher lows. Like there's still a range of emotions. There's always an emotional roller coaster, but it doesn't have to be like, I gotta die, I'm finally liking life. It's not this manic depressive ride. It's just higher highs, higher lows. Life gets better and better if you let it, if you do the work, if you dig into yourself and find out that you're in your own frickin' way.
Yes, for sure. So talk to me about what emotion was not allowed in your house. Anger or sadness?
It was more anger for sure. I was a sensitive kid. I was encouraged. So I was raised by a single mom. My parents divorced when I was 5. It was very acrimonious. They battled in court. It was ugly. There was fights. There was police visits, and my dad would try to break in to see me. They didn't talk to each other. So the alimony check, I got it from my dad and handed it to my mom. So I thought it was being rented for years. I believed this was my job. My dad has bought me for a few hours to spend some time with me, and now I return to my original caretaker, my mom. And it messed me up. It was very bizarre. So I couldn't be angry at my mom because it was just us. I'd be kicked out in the streets if I was angry at home. And I couldn't be angry at my dad. Like, there was so much anger between my parents, I felt like I could just witness their anger. I couldn't express my own. But also at the same time when my parents were getting divorced, a neighbor started molesting me, which really started the worldview that it's not safe, I can't trust men, and just things built to make my shell even thicker. So I expressed even less, and I would only, I would be a good boy. I didn't want to be the next man kicked out of my house, so nobody knew about the molestation. right? So I just kept things quieter and quieter. And on the outside, smart kid, good in school. Well, that's all that matters in society. Everything must be fine with Andy.
Right.
Nobody pushed me to go deeper. And if they did, I could lie. I covered it up, right? Because I knew that I was a mess. I knew I was so flawed. I thought if people really knew me, they would all flee.
Yeah, you buried their shame.
All men has, unfortunately, or most men I know, and women, if you only find out who I really was, then you obviously don't like me. And another one of the things we try and do as well, all of us on this screen, I think, is if we could swap places for 2 minutes with our people, their lives would change instantly if they saw who they really were. But we don't. And I try and express, especially to guys, that you will never, probably never, I don't know your true power and the effect you have on people. I mean, you will never know. I do a book study. Jen came once, and it was a great book study. I try my best. I'm very knowledgeable about a 12-step book. And when I go, I get texts off my sponsor, which is one of the guys that runs the place. And he goes, "Oh my God, so many people have texted me saying you were amazing." I'm like, but nobody told me. Nobody ever tells me. And that's the other thing, Andy, that I fight with is I was walking past the break room once in our offices in Dallas, and I heard one girl say, "Oh my God, did you see that guy come in 20 minutes after spending with Dr. Rob? He come out happy. He was amazing." And the other girl said, "Yeah, I know. Have you told him that?" And he went, "Oh, no. I mean, Dr. Rob already knows." It's like, we don't know. You know, people need to tell us this stuff on a daily basis. One of my biggest things in life is complimenting 3P on a daily basis. 3 people. Because we need to hear that stuff, whether you're a president or whether you're a road sweeper, we need to hear that stuff. Because you can bet, well, I say about 60%, 70% of the time, you didn't get it from your parents, that's for sure. Because my generation would never do that. In fact, I was taught to lie in my house. If anybody calls, we don't live in this horrible estate. We live in the posh estate, so never give this address. That was drummed into me as a child. It's unbelievable. Two quick fire questions before we go to a break, Andy. Well, and I know you've got loads, but just try and pinpoint. Worst time of your life, best time of your life.
Oh, yeah. Worst time of my life. Worst time of my life, waking up after my first suicide attempt that landed me in the emergency room, realizing what had happened, realizing I was pissed that I was alive, and the first nurse was a mother of kids I was in high school with. I was like, oh crap, now I felt even worse. I'm alive, and now this is not going to be able to be hidden. It was horrible. Still, best feeling of my life, my wedding. I've been married 23 years now, and still that wedding day, like, again, I never thought I'd be married. I never thought anybody would love me, and it was a room full of people celebrating us, and it was a Halloween, it was a costume party, so it was everything. As a kid, I dreamed of just having this crazy celebration, but that still stands out as my happiest moment.
I love that, absolutely. Andy Grant is on the show, guys. Commercial break. We'll be right back with Jen, who's going to grill Andy some more, hopefully. Stick around, guys. Hey guys, welcome back. That was Living and Recovery Interventions. Recovery begins today. Recovery begins together. Give the gift of recovery, says Travis. Travis is a great friend of ours, an absolutely amazing guy. He's an absolutely amazing interventionist. If your loved one is in trouble, call Travis on 801-573-4188. Or why not visit the website, livingrecoveryinterventions.com. Remember, guys, recovery begins today. Recovery begins together. 801-573-4188. All yours, Jen.
Awesome. So talk to me about what men really want, because I think women get, and I know for me as well, there was, a period of time where it was like, all they want is sex. Now, fast forward to me being responsible with my own self and my own emotions and my own body and my own desires. I can now put that aside and go, I don't think men just want sex. But I think a lot of women get confused and they project whatever their beliefs are about men onto men. So what is it deeply that men really want, and how do they want to be seen?
I find over and over that what men really want is to be loved. and they're often raised with no clear clue of what that actually means. So sex must be it. Sex and love are very confused. Power is conceived by it, like being successful by the job, the house, the trophy wife, all these things are quests to feel loved. Men want to feel nurtured and supported so that they can be strong, be the provider, do these things, but without that comfort, without that support of a strong woman, the world's scarier, right? They take less risks. Everything feels like the edge of the cliff. Mm-hmm. And without someone loving and supporting them, all these false identities of a man thinking he's his job, thinking he's the paycheck, and especially during the pandemic, when all those things are at risk or gone, if a man doesn't have that love backing him up, plummets into despair, depression, shame, grief. All the worst aspects of being alive are felt. And because he's a man, he's probably told not to share that. So it's even worse because he keeps it secret.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Totally. That's absolutely crazy, but it's so true. Do you think the old saying behind every man, and obviously these days women, that there should be a strong partner? Do you honestly believe that? Because I know I do. So how much does that play into a success of a person?
Yeah, I mean, part of success is successful relationships, right? We all have masculine and feminine energy. It's not that a man is 100% masculine and no femininity, and you wouldn't want, at least I should say this, I'll own this, I wouldn't want a woman that was just 100% feminine energy either. Again, we're all human beings. Masculinity and femininity are not these exclusive things just to each gender, right? We're all energetic beings. We're all spiritual beings having this physical experience. So yeah, you want someone that can support you, and a mate that has skills that balance yours. And if my wife and I have been together because we've both been on this spiritual path and growth of awakening that neither of us was into at all when we met. So it's amazing that we are both changing and growing and trying new things together and separately, but on the same path. It's been amazing. If you had told me 10 years ago that I'd be doing the things I do today on a daily basis, I would have laughed in your face. Everything I do is something I made fun of. Everything I do is something I thought was ridiculous. It takes courage and bravery to try something new. Sometimes the bravest thing a man can do is ask for help. And ideally, that help can start with a wonderful partner, with a relationship. My wife has lived through me being depressed, being suicidal. My wife has lived with me leaving the house saying, I've got to go try to die. I don't know what's going to happen. Bye, honey. And I had no idea what that did to her because she didn't share it, right? It took this breaking point for everyone before she said, I was raised being used to professionals. Doctors say, you can tell me anything. So when my wife says, you can tell me anything, I think of her as a professional and that whatever I share has no effect on her. But it does because she's human. But so she kept that to herself for years. We once spoke together at a NAMI event. And I talked about being suicidal, and then she spoke about living with someone who was suicidal. She told things to that audience that she had never said to me. And I was stunned. And I got up, I was in tears because I was hearing things, how pained she was by my actions that she never dared show. Because she didn't want to be a reason to have Andy get more depressed, to move forward. But I was just, so I gave her permission, call me out, like chew me up. You yank me out of bed. Like I know you love and support me. Don't placate it. If I'm headed down, don't make it easier to go down. Right? So ideally, every relationship is that powerful. You can admit, you can challenge each other, you can call things up, you can support when someone needs support. You can take it and yelled at and being called names, but because you know it's being done to get someone through this really tough time, be it depression, suicidal thoughts, addiction. But we all need support.
We do, and I think that it's such a, it's painful because what happens is that we project our stuff onto the other person and we want to take care of the other person. And the truth is that we don't actually want to feel those feelings as the partner, right? And so that's the painful part. That is the deeply painful part. And I really want to say this is I didn't know that my heart could have multiple feelings at once until I dropped my child off at his first rehab when he was 16. And I sat in a group of people and they're like, give me 5 feelings you're feeling right now. And I was like, what? 5 feelings? Like I can only have one. So I think it's interesting to be able to, people can step into, I can have joy and be sad. You know, I can be happy and pissed, right? It can be a both and. So I have a little bit of a controversial question, and because it's everybody's a little tiptoeing around this, but when we look at and not from the political standpoint, but from a man standpoint, imagine Donald Trump if he got in touch with his feelings, if he got in touch with that little boy, the power that he could do. And what I want to say about that, or what I want to ask about that, is that I am sure you've had men like that that have come to you that are so shut down and maybe narcissistic. I don't know. How do you help them?
So a man to the level of being shut down as Donald Trump has never come to me.
Okay.
Donald Trump does not seek help. He does, no, I mean, like, he's a great example. Glad you brought this up. I see him as the least aware man I've ever come across. Mm-hmm. He has no idea when he's gone too far. You know, he has no idea that he affects other people's emotions and thoughts and feelings. Right. And he is the living embodiment of the worst of the father wound. Mm-hmm. He had a emotionally distant father, was raised that success was money, success was buildings. That's all that mattered. Winning, winning, winning. That's all he cares about. Mm-hmm. And that's the wound. So he's this living 73-year-old embodiment of this wound. I can't believe that he's ever talked to his inner child. He shut that stuff down at a young age to win his father's love and respect.
Yeah.
I don't know they ever worked.
No.
But that he is, you know, to use Eckhart Tolle, like, he is a living, walking pain body.
Yeah.
That achieved the outward signs of success, but inside is empty. And you can tell that because it's so easy. You compliment him and he loves you for life until you don't compliment him. And then you're the enemy. It's black or white feeling and thinking and actions. Mm-hmm. Right? But yeah, he would, something, I don't know what it could be, something would have to challenge a man like that so much that he would begin to see that how I'm living isn't working. I've got to get support.
Right.
But yeah, they don't come to me. Mm-hmm. Right? There's got to be a level of awareness. If you aren't aware of the issue, if you aren't aware that there's a problem, if you're not ready to take responsibility, you're not seeking help.
Right.
It's very hard as well when you know, I see what many people in that situation do is they live off for their triumphs and sweep their losses under the carpet and never to be spoken again. And that must send some sort of message to the brain. If you're succeeding and powerful, and, you know, why would you seek help?
Yeah.
No,
yeah. I mean, there's a huge shame closet in the psyche of Trump and other narcissistic men and women. Any narcissist has. Yeah. It's wrong to feel it, to experience it. So I can't be wrong. So I must hide and deny this. And it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and makes more self-destructive, outward abusive things. It's a bad scenario. But he's the perfect man to be seen at this time because it just shined a light on that. Mm-hmm. So more people, he connects with people that are sharing that pain, and he awakens people to go, oh my God, I wish we could see that all these men and women are in pain. They're dealing with wounds. They don't know themselves, and it's easier to blame than take responsibility. That's what's happening. And allowing everyone to see this lets everyone make that choice. Do I want to be part of the blame gang? Or do I want to take responsibility? And it starts with me. I mean, Gandhi, you know, do you want to you want to see change the world? Start changing yourself, right?
Yeah. And I think the hardest thing too is like we go back to that childhood, we go back to the mother, we go back to the father. And while those things are incredibly important, we can't give it all to our parents, right? Like, I mean, I could go on and on about my parents, about who they were, who they were not. And at some point, I had to really look at myself and my reactions. And yes, there was a deficit. And my deep hurt that I was projecting out into the world is mine. It's not theirs. And I think that's what people don't fully grasp. But when they come to do transformational work, when they come to do some deeper work, when their marriages are falling apart, you know, to really look at that place, I think that is in a desperation. You know, we change in the midst of our desperation. Yeah. So talk to me about the clients that you do have, and what do you like? What is the thing that you want people to deeply know about, not only about you, but what's possible?
when you take responsibility for your life, anything is possible.
Yeah.
People are just been brainwashed by parents and teaching in school, society, to live in this little box. And I encourage people to see that when they realize their box feels uncomfortable, that's a great thing. Celebrate that, because it means you're aware that there's more. You can push down these barriers, take these walls down and expand. I do a lot of spiritual work with folks, and I get to have them see themselves. And we talk about witnessing yourself, seeing how powerful you really are. And I work with the Akashic Records a lot, and the most common thing I'm telling people, your willingness to grow, your soul's expansion literally is the fuel that keeps the universe expanding. So talking about purpose, like, it is your purpose to decide what your purpose is. It is your purpose to live with more joy. It is your purpose to find a way to heal yourself and be of service to other human beings. That's what keeps everything going. What I encourage, and I just get men to celebrate when they realize, I don't like this. I'm like, great, because you can't change it until you realize you don't like it. It's easy to say, I don't know what I want to do. I don't have any passion. I'm like, well, fine. So make a list of that, because it helps direct you to what you do want to do. We're all entitled to live passionate, healthy, vibrant lives. And again, I'm just living proof. I thought I would have bet everything I could possibly earn in my life that I would have not lived past being 18 years old. Every decade of my life has been better. When I was growing up, nobody told me that was possible. I've heard, oh, it's all downhill up to 30, 35, 40, 45. Like, every freaking age has this number that someone has told me, it all goes downhill then. It hasn't. I'm in my 50s. Everything is freaking awesome. That's what I like to remind people. And I used to be afraid of taking responsibility because I thought responsibility meant blame. It's, my life is my fault. My mistakes are my fault. All my years of depression, all my energy spending trying to die is my fault if I'm responsible for it. Once I take responsibility, I can change it. And I can own that. Wow, it was my fault. Yep, I did choose to spend too long in the misery because I thought the misery was right. I didn't think I had depression. I thought I was depression. I didn't think I had suicidal thoughts. I thought each time a suicidal thought came back to me, it was because it was the universe saying, you're supposed to die. You're having this thought because it's true and you must act on it. Any thought can be changed. We are more adaptable and resilient than we realize. We just have to open up to that, step into our potential. It's there. We are limitless beings. We are eternal beings. We don't have to settle for anything. We don't have to suffer, but we have to take action. Action aligned with your authenticity that's the yellow brick road.
Yeah.
The other thing as well, Andy, I found was my personal experiences. My dad was one of those dads who you couldn't really talk to about anything. He came home from work, he'd say yes or no, can I borrow the car? Yes, and that was it. You couldn't give him a Christmas present or birthday present direct to him. He'd be too embarrassed. You'd have to give it to my mom, who'd give it to him after I went to bed. So you know what sort of guy that is. So after many years, after my mom passed, I went back to England, because I didn't go back for many years. And I made my amends to my dad because I'd got well, properly, psychologically, physically, spiritually. And this is a man that never spoke about anything. And I sat him down and I says, Dad, I'm going to try not to get upset about this. I really want to say I'm sorry. I want to make amends for the shit that I put you through, for the money you spent on me. And his reply was, oh, it's okay, son. And I said, Dad, no, it's not okay. And I want to explain where I was. And Andy, we had a deep and meaningful conversation for the first time in our lives. And that's because I'd done the work and I approached him and sat down and he could see the peace in me. And he opened up for the first time after 70 years to me. And it was just a miraculous time in my life. There's no other way of putting it. And the moral of that story for me is when I was willing to accept somebody opening up to me because I was ready, amazing things can happen. Yeah. Absolutely amazing things. So what other gifts are you telling these men can happen to them? Because that's just one of them.
Yeah. And I said earlier, energy is contagious. Your healing energy is contagious. Your openness, your willingness to see all of yourself can transfer to all of your relationships. One human being changing themselves, willing to change themselves, impacts everybody around them. We are transmitters and receivers of energy. And people think, oh, that sounds crazy. Your five senses. Look, your eyes are just perceiving energy and transmitting it into image. Your ears are hearing energy, waves, sounds, converting into energy that you can see and sound out and put together, and your brain puts it all together. We are so more perceptive than we've been taught. We're so more connected than we've been taught. There are gifts of connection, empowerment. There's so many cliches, and they're rooted in truth. But by calling them just platitudes, cliches, we can just poo-poo them. Like, it is so powerful to sit in a circle of men in silence, just to be present, without like, how's the weather? What was that game last night? Dropping the bullshit, just being there. I'm sure when you opened up to your dad, you didn't have to fill every second with words. You could just be there and really feel each other, right? So that's what an open-hearted man can do. That's the power. I keep finding time and time again that when I am vulnerable and authentic, it is always rewarded. It is always met. It encourages others to feel that same way. When we drop the mask and the bullshit that we've got it all figured out, we can all share that. We realize we have this collective pain. And when we share it, it doesn't feel as strong. A common thing for men, nobody knows how this feels. Nobody else is going through this. It's just me. I can't. And we have been gifted a global pandemic so that everybody's going through the same shit at the same time. You can't tell that story anymore. We're all going through it. So there was a gift in everything, and that's another cliche that I thought was bullshit until I experienced it and looked at it in my own life. There was always a lesson, there's always a gift. Doesn't mean things don't feel bad, but eventually you'll see something out of that. So you connecting with your dad, your growth gives your whole lineage, your ancestors and your offspring more permission because we're connected. Your expansiveness, your willingness to do that helps them do that as well. Unlimited potential, unlimited healing.
I love that. And it is my heart to be the woman for my children, because it's so important for them to see a woman do her work and be healthy out there in the world and have an effect on the world. It is so important for men to see that, especially when they are raised with that, I hate to overuse this word, but the toxic masculinity, right? And so when my kids' their heroin addiction was my gift to be the mother, to change their life, to change how they perceive women. And I think that I don't know if enough women understand the impact that we have on men. It's not just their dads, it's us too.
Oh, sure. Yes.
So we can leave with that.
A man not willing to feel leaves the burden to the woman to carry all the pain.
Yes.
And it's got to be a partnership or else you destroy that person. I can't love you so much that it makes up for me not loving me. And you can't carry so much pain that I don't feel the pain.
Yeah.
Right? It's again, we're connected. As human beings, we're entitled, and in fact, we need to experience every single emotion. There aren't some that you carry, there aren't some that men carry. There's some that are easier, there's some that are acceptable, there's some that are easier to talk about and share, but we're entitled and indeed need to express all of them. On the other side of every shitty feeling I've ever felt has been peace, has been light. What makes that shitty feeling last is resisting it, not willing to feel it, right? Emotions, energy and motion, they want to pass through you. They have information. Your emotions are telling you what's going on right now. If you don't feel your emotions, it builds up for years and years and years. You have this shame closet in your head, and it bursts open at inopportune times. So your emotions no longer are how you're feeling this moment. It's like, remember how angry you were 20 years ago? Here it is right now. And it doesn't make any sense. Again, you can't think through emotions. I find I knew that I had really healed myself when I was willing to feel whatever emotion showed up in the moment that it did. Truly being present, living in the now. That means feeling your feelings now. Not deciding they're wrong, not deciding some other time, some other place. That lets you, be the finely tuned machine and processing energy that we are. Being here now means feeling what shows up. And not just feeling it and deciding what it is, but feeling it, crying, laughing. I meet so many guys that were taught joy wasn't supposed to be for them. Guys are allowed to be angry, Their expressions are, things are okay, it's as good as it gets, right? And there's more. There's such a huge range of experiences, of emotions, and men and women are entitled to all of them. And if you are shut down, you will attract other people that are shut down. Two wounded people ain't gonna last. Or they might choose to last. It's perpetual wounding, and that's why the pain and the struggle of relationships. But relationships are meant to support you, but you've got to support you first. Like, nobody else can outlove you, nobody else can outpain you. You've got to do the work.
I love it, absolutely. Once again, Andy, we've run out of time, unfortunately. TheAndyGrant.com is the website. We got to finish now, guys, because we've got, obviously, me and Jen are busy every hour of the freaking day, which is awesome. But we have to. Before I want to go, I just want to say, Andy, a couple of things. First of all, I want to thank you so much for who you are. I want to thank you so much for the effect you are having on millions of people's lives, because the ripple effects, of course, you had effect on my life, and I'm sure you've had an effect on Jen's life. So from me, I just want to say, first of all, thank you so much for the work you're doing. And we love you, man. And we can't wait to have you back on the show.
Thank you.
Yeah. Andy, thank you for being that man in the world that's willing to step into his feelings, that's willing to open up his shame closet and not carry that for not only for other men, but also for your wife and other women in the world, for men coming up, growing up, that they can step and be truly who they are in the world. You are so much heart and so much strength, and you radiate love into the world. And so I really appreciate your time. And it's been a pleasure getting to know you and shedding tears with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. It's truly an honor to spend this time with you guys.
Yeah. And guys, don't forget the book's still here, How to Succeed in Life After Failing at Suicide. Great book. It's a great read. I've just ordered it on Amazon, guys. Go straight to Amazon and order it. It's unbelievable. Guys, thank you so much. There's been a great a load of people out there listening to this. We very rarely go on this long, but it was such a great interview, such a great time. Guys, take care of yourself. Remember, empowered people, and we'll see you next week, guys.